Greetings, everyone. This is Dayhawk bringing to you episode 15 of Shaman King 2021. So, we get started where we left off at the underground temple of Hao, and Yo-Man, the grandfather of Yo, sorry in case I butcher his name, is telling the story how became the founder of the Asakura family and how he became the daimyo. And so the temple is about 1,000 years old, and it was dug there in the mountains by the Asakura family. And he further explains the stars that are surrounding the temple and inside, and the star represents the 5 elements which Hao mastered, and each point represents the 5 elements, and he who masters all 5 can control nature. Hao can foresee things through fortune telling and appeal to spirits for aid in magic, and he could command the shikigami, and then he became omaji or daimyo. Yeah, sorry if I butcher these things. I do apologize. And for some strange reason, due to a vision by the gods, Hao wants to destroy mankind and create a world only for the strong shaman to live and thrive. And the Asakura family pretty much stopped them and killed them. But the problem is, he mastered the supreme art of omaidoyo, the omaidoyo, and with the ritual of the Taizen Fukun, he gained the power to control his own soul. And it fully explains how he can control his soul, only that he gained the ability to do that. And before his whole family turned against him, Hao learns about the Shaman King tournament, and he figures that becoming Shaman King, he will get his dream realized. And that's how that story ends there. And Yome assigns Anna to take the tome that contains Hao's magic, his spells. And the only way someone can read the book is from Hao's direct bloodline, his descendants. So Yo can read and open the book. So the grandfather gives Anna and Tamayo, which, by the way, she followed Anna down to the temple and heard everything, and to take the book, go to America, and give it to Yo. Not before Tamayo broke the seal, which unleashed the shikigami, that how sealed in the books in order to protect it. Luckily, Anna defeated them with her beads, and it goes to this cutscene where Hao is bleeding from the head and discovers that his demons were defeated, and he wasn't really mad at all. He just find it very intriguing, and things is about to get interesting based on what he said. And going back to America, where Yo and the gang are, right now they're still trying to find this town, and but it was snowing, and Horo Horo is out there snowboarding, and he wants to snowboard even more, and Rem was like, "Are you kidding me right now? We need to go into town, and we don't have time for your foolishness." But Yo lets him. He says, like, "Once you're done, can you meet us where we are?" And he lets them go. Right before Horo Horo mentions morphine being so super cute, and that's when Koro felt jealous and sad, and he leads into the scene where he was snowboarding, and he was about to snowboard across some cliff, and he was about to summon his spirit, but discovers that she's gone and falls from a cliff. And it has been 3 days. According to his Horo Horo savior, Bluebell, who is a park ranger, tells him that you've been out for 3 days and your legs are broken. And he's very much lucky to be alive. And he was about to leave, and Bluebell mentions, like, you can't go out there, at least wait until morning, because there is a bear named Apollo who's roaming across the forest, and if you encounter him, you're gonna be in big trouble. And tells the story of how she would raise the bear, because you see in the cutscene a picture of her as a little girl, and the park ranger must be his father, and you see the bear inside the cage, and you see all these bullet marks, the scars on, I think it's the right side. I could be wrong, but I'm just looking at it if I was in the position of the bear. So yeah, on the right side. And so Horo Horo in his, I don't know, at that moment Horo Horo decided to meet the bear, and so he ends up changing into his new gear, and he goes out into the forest and wants to talk to Apollo. And let's see, let me look at my notes here. And at first the bear was not interested, obviously, and the funny thing was that with his new gear, he sat down on the snow with a plate, and he poured like sake, and he was just talking to the bear. And Bluebell showed up saying that, "Are you crazy?" And he just stopped right there. "I have to do this on my own. I've dealt with these things before because I am one with nature. bears, like animals, nature. They are gods to us, to my family, and to the people that to the sound that to the city that he's from, because Horo Horo is a a nature person. He was raised to love nature and to respect nature. And after a few beatdowns from the bear, the bear um, pretty much stood down and licks the wounds off of Horo Horo's arm. And the sad part, the most tragic part, is that after Horo Horo won Apollo's respect, he gets shot by poachers. And Horo Horo like turns around and first asks the poachers, "Are you gonna take the bear? Are you gonna take the bear and eat it, take the fur, whatever it is?" And the poacher said, "No, we just shot it because it was fun." And that's where Horo Horo turns into like a 180, like not our normal typical Horo Horo, but more of a badass, serious Horo Horo. It's like he was super pissed because the fact that these people shot the bear just because it sets them off. And so he ends up beating him up, and luckily Koro witnessed the whole thing, and she was like awestruck, and luckily she made it in time to help Horo Horo deal with the poachers. And at the end of the episode, he pretty much gained a new friend who believes in his wish. Like, remember, Horo Horo wants to be king in order to bring nature back into the world. And she pretty much is like she believes in that same dream as well. And that's the end of the episode. And mind you, while Horo Horo was busy with Bluebell, Yo, Ryu, Lyserk, and Rem already at the Colorado town. And Ren was concerned that it's been 3 days already. Horo Horo should have been here by now. And Yo was like, "Relax. I'm sure he has things to do. He will catch up with us soon." So he has no concern. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this episode, I like this episode because it reveals more of Horo Horo's character. He's more than just the comic relief. That he can be serious, and he reminds me so much of the Native Americans and how they are one with nature. They respect nature. Every time they kill an animal, they use every part of its body and use it for their own needs. And he reminds me so much of the Native Americans. And Horo Horo was talking to Bluebell about hunters, and she was against hunting and poaching, but Horo Horo had an opinion on that, where, I mean, we need hunters hunt for food. They they also hunt for furs and this and things like that for their needs. And she was not having it, of course, but Horo Horo brought up a good point, and and it leads to the story of Apollo, which is a sad story, but and the cool thing about it is that the very end of that very episode, Horo Horo and Bluebell buried the bear right next to her home, and I find it really cool. And Horo Horo's new gear was something that like threw me off in a good way, and because he always had the traditional get up, but after hearing the Apollo story and trying to talk to the bear as the bear was a real person, convincing him to leave the forest and move up to the mountains so that way he could live in peace and with no humans around. And he managed to convince the bear, only to get shot by poachers. And that's the sad part, the very tragic part. So much has happened in this episode with how he came to be, to Horo Horo's more in depth in Horo Horo's character, and overall I enjoyed it very much. And his new clothes were pretty cool. I think that's it. In case I miss anything, please feel free to put it in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully. This is Dayhawk. I hope you guys are well, and I will see you all on the flip side. Johnny!